Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Lin and let's talk about WandaVision episode 6. I know this is a bit late, so I'm going to go quickly through most of the obvious stuff and focus on the things I haven't seen other channels mention. This is the big Halloween episode, so let's start with the Halloween costumes. Everyone get their classic comic costumes. They justify Wanda's costume as Sokovian fortune teller, and I like the explanation because it leaves the door open to adapting elements of it, like the headdress and the cape, later into her proper costume if she does go full Scarlet Witch. They can just say she's paying homage to her heritage. Vision's costume is justified as Mexican wrestler costume. Notice the implication that Wanda wants him to wear this, so the rest of his wardrobe disappeared. Wanda may be unable to control Vision, but she's still trying to control Vision. Billy get a homemade equivalent of Billy Kaplan's / Wiccan's comic costume and later gained Wiccan's powers. Tommy gained super speed as well, but he just get a mini version of Pietro's costume instead of Tommy Shepard's speed costume. Pietro also donned his Silver Age costume and get the ridiculous hairdos that's an approximation of Silver Age Quicksilver's hair. But, it's also similar to Mephisto's hair and you can't deny that. I will not let it go. I am on this Mephisto train all the way to hell, where I will meet Mephisto. Actually, if you haven't seen it, check it out. I made a video before this episode on who I think this Pietro really is, and I'm pretty sure he's not Pietro, and leaning heavily on him being Mephisto. Ignore the tattoo on his arm that says MOM. It does not stand for Multiverse of Madness. It's just a tattoo the actor Evan Peters actually had. Pietro says a lot of meta stuff in this episode and is clearly aware that he's here to play a role in Wanda's sitcom. He talks as if he's Wanda's Pietro, but dodges or joke his way out of a lot of Wanda's questions. They also make a reference to Kick-Ass.
I feel the need for speed. Kick-Ass,
which the two Pietro actors were in together. The biggest red flag for me about this Pietro is he have a lot of knowledge that he shouldn't have. Like how the town and the people were like before the hack, and it seems to me that he's on a fishing expedition. He's looking to find out how exactly this all started, and especially how Wanda got all powerful. At first, it made me think this make it less likely that he's Mephisto or sent by Mephisto, because if Mephisto is involved, he will be the reason Wanda is getting this power growth spurt, and he or his agents would know it. However, a friend pointed out to me that it could still be Mephisto, and maybe he's surprised that Wanda is way more powerful than he expected after the deal, and is here to investigate. He's definitely suspicious and not who he said he is. A Funko Pop for Pietro has been revealed, and it's the only one with quotation marks around his name. So at this point, I would say it's 100% certainty that Pietro is not who he say he is. He joked about his death, but last episode he doesn't seem to remember who Vision is, even though he already met him before he died. Then later this episode, he seems to know how Vision is already dead. He's definitely not to be trusted. When he was blasted by Wanda for saying that Vision is dead, the tombstone decoration he landed next to says not on her side. Do you trust this Pietro? Leave a comment below if you think you know what he's up to. He does also drop a pretty big comment about the twins by saying, "Unleash all demon spawn!" The twins, demon spawns they could be, but doesn't seem evil or anything. They're doing a Malcolm in the Middle style sitcom, so the kids have asides where they talk directly to the camera, which no one else notice or react to, as is how the trope usually works. But Pietro does. One time Billy was addressing the camera, Pietro looked right at him, and he clearly internalized what the kid is saying because he go and address it immediately after by talking to Wanda and Vision. Very suspicious. Also notice, while Tommy look up to him and think he's cool, Billy, the twin that later developed mental powers, is kinda scared of Pietro. He's also a bad influence on the kids, and Wanda point that out. Actually, in response to Tommy joking that he's a vampire, Pietro shouts, Seems like it's just a pun about vampires and them being blood relatives, but this is actually a commonly misused quote because it originally means the opposite of what people think. The original quote is blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb, and if the kids are result of some sort of deal, covenant if you will, then the line take a more sinister tone, saying a blood pact binds them more than actual lineage. And I'll show you after that, and it sounds kind of like a threat. Speaking of suspicious people, I'm not buying what Agnes is selling just one bit.
I just think that her actions raise some questions. Like, for example, is she a dog murderer?
Yeah, that witch costume and the cackle could be a red herring tease. They know we all think she's Agatha Harkness the witch, but her little got stuck leaving town bit, not buying it. She contradicted her own words. She said Wanda won't let anyone even think of leaving. The episode says people on the edge of town are frozen, barely moving. Yet here she is in the car, having made all the way to the edge of town. And at the end of this conversation, she just drive away. She also gives Vision the right information in the right order to compel him to go out of town. Yeah, he was probably already going to, but I think Agnes is trying to poke and prod at the extent of Wanda's powers. And I think she wants to know if Vision can survive outside of the hex. Another interesting Halloween costume is Herb as Frankenstein's monster. For those people who are saying he might be Grim Reaper, that fits because the Grim Reaper is a resurrected man. But I personally don't think so, because remember, Sword already found a copy of his ID. And if he was a dead man, I think they would have noticed. Also, another party that want Vision out of the hex is Hayward and Sword. I think it's quite clear now that he's an antagonistic force and want Vision, and we have a pretty clear idea of why. Does he pull a file from his server? By the way, Darcy's a hacker now? It's a weapon program with the name Cataract. Get it? Cataract because it's the opposite of Vision? Hayward, you big nerd. My theory? He want to mass produce and weaponize synthezoids like Vision as a defense or deterrence against superpower individuals? We're most likely looking at the beginning of something like Ultron 2.0 or even a Sentinel program that target all power people, not just mutants. I had such high hopes for Sword, but in this episode they acting like a right bunch of clown circus. I completely agree with Wanda. By the way, now that Darcy has been absorbed into Wanda's little sitcom world, what do you think she'll be cast as next episode? Maybe some sort of waitress that's a kind of broke? They're setting up Monica gaining powers, with Wanda's hex being shown to have a permanent effect on her. However, people who are theorizing or hoping the hex will roll over the earth and bring in mutants, they should really slow the roll. It is a fundamental part of the mutant story that they're just normal people who are born with the mutant gene, but are feared and discriminated against. The civil rights movement metaphor is ruined if it is just something the Scarlet Witch forced upon them in grief. Here's a few tidbits I picked up from this episode. The opening theme sound is all about asking people to just go with it and enjoy the fleeting illusion, almost like someone is begging Wanda or Vision to just be happy with this little fake reality. The Westview Cinema is playing The Incredibles, a movie about a superpowered family, and The Parent Trap, a movie about twins trying to make their parents be together. The big TV in the town square is playing the movie The Creatures Walks Among Us. It could be hinting that the big bad is walking amongst them right now. I'm not saying it's Mephisto, but it could totally be Mephisto. The movie also ends with the creature drowning, not realizing he can't breathe underwater, which kind of parallels what's happening with Vision in this episode. That's the big takeaway of the episode, in that the hex clearly affect Vision differently than other people, as it actively pulls him back in bit by bit. Why can't he seem to be able to survive outside the hex? We've seen that stuff Wanda change inside the hex remain altered outside the hex with Monica in her uniform. I think that this is because the hex exists to keep Vision alive. I think resurrecting a sentient being is even beyond Wanda's power, that the hex over Westview is the only way to keep her dream life of a family and a white picket fence with Vision going. And Vision, while disintegrating, worry more about the town people than himself. My boy may not remember being an Avenger. He's definitely still an Avenger at heart. So here's where my predictions are after this episode. There are multiple antagonistic forces at work. Hayward and Sword outside the hex want Vision to reverse engineer weapons from and mostly act as a foil to Monica and the gang. Inside the hex, there are multiple parties as well. The big one being whoever turned Wanda's power up to 11. My money is still on Mephisto. And then I think there's a third party. People who wants to know how Wanda got so powerful. People who want that power for themselves or to use it. I think that's Agnes, and I think she wants to know if Wanda can resurrect someone she lost. That's why she wants to know if Vision can survive outside the hex. Hub could be involved somehow. They were talking to each other quite secretively in episode 3. And I think Agnes sent this homebrand Pietro on a fishing expedition to find out more from Wanda. I'm very excited for what's coming next. I know there are reports saying Kevin Feige said the next 3 episodes will be 1 hour long each, but don't get too excited. That's a bit of a clickbait. If you look into it, they're assuming that based on the fact that Kevin Feige said the series will be 6 hours long, and they're assuming that he recommend not including the credit. If it does include the credit, we've had almost 4 hours worth of runtime, and the remaining episodes will be like 45 minutes each at most, including credits. Don't buy into clickbait and set yourself up for disappointment. Anyway, that's it from me for now. Like and subscribe, and as a new channel, I appreciate all your support. Peace.